ladies and gentlemen of all ages, boys and girls. Thank you for tuning in to yet another episode of Angry Meat Production. We appreciate you coming in and letting us be a part of your lives week in and week out. We hope to do our best to present you with something that your eardrums delight in. Whether you're looking at us on YouTube or Rumble, or listening to us on Spotify, Google, or Anchor, or any of the other podcast services that we are currently on or trying to get on. We thank you. And if you don't mind, at the end of every episode, stop by, leave us a comment, leave us a like. If it asks for 5 stars, we'll take 5 stars, even if you don't like us. 5 stars are what it's all about. With that being said, we hope you enjoy our attempt to make our advocation our vocation. Ladies and gentlemen, let the games begin. We here at Angry Me Production want to thank our sponsor, Mobile Notary Mindy. She's certified with the National Notary Association. She's also bonded and E&O insured. She offers a wide range of services including wills, powers of attorney, medical documents, healthcare proxies, living wills, certification of trust, assignment of personal property, HIPAA waivers, advanced healthcare directives, and 99 verification. You can find her on Facebook, TikTok, and Instagram at Mobile Notary Mindy. You can also visit her webpage at texasmobilenotarymindy.com. That's TX, mobilenotarymindy.com. Thank you so much, and enjoy the show.
Welcome, Angry Faithful. Today we have Zachary Okes with us from Canada, fan of the show, wanted to come on and see how podcasting's doing, and found out he's, evil cousin, Canada, doesn't have guns. But
yeah.
But we're gonna have a good conversation. Hopefully you can join us and have fun with it. And so hockey is the one thing you wanted us to cover. That's the one thing that I was like, oh, he's from Canada. Figured out.
Yeah, now that makes sense, right?
Yeah. I was like, U.S. is not much. It's very hard to find hockey fans, but Canada just loves hockey. And I watched hockey. We got Dallas Stars like 2 hours away.
Yep.
I used to watch them like constantly, and then I just got bored with it. Not because it's just my life stuff and everything. I try to catch up with stuff like that, but everyone right now it's like NFL. I mean, flavor of the month type thing, especially when you're running a sports show. It's just you got to keep up with a lot of stuff, and I'm pretty much the starter of this whole podcast and everything, and I go from like politics, sports, comic stuff, all types of nerd stuff, and it bogs me down sometimes. So I just every season I'm like, what am I supposed to pay attention to now?
I got a little bit of that too. I was like, I've always been a super like all into hockey, right? But my team is I'm a Montreal fan, right? I'm not sure if you follow the league at all, but we've been kind of stinking for the last few years. So I've been looking for someone to watch, and I started watching the Raptors, obviously the Canadian connection, and then the Bills as well, because that's the closest thing to a Canadian NFL team we have. And then when those seasons are overlapping, it's like it's hard to keep up with them all. So I fully understand. Yeah.
Oh yeah, because right now, because Max was the one who's like, we need to get somebody for hockey. I was like, then you popped up. I was like, I got someone from hockey. I just got to I had told him, I was like, dude, I'm not a sports guy. I don't know sports people that well. So if it flops in my lap, it flops in my lap. But it's one of those things is I know a little bit about hockey, just like the big pivotal moments that a lot of people don't. I'm surprised nobody knows about. It's like that one dude that got cut in the neck. I mean, it happens a lot more than I realized when I did more research on it. But I'm like, good Lord, they're tough.
Yeah, man, I'm a referee as well, and recently in the OMHA, like the Ontario Minor Hockey Association, we've like made like neck guards like fully mandatory, and you get tossed out if you don't wear them. I get serious about that because of how often like those freak accidents that aren't even that rare happen in minor hockey, NHL, like all these different levels. It's brutal. But yeah, I'm not sure if you heard about if Shea Weber, if that name rings a bell, but it was just released that when he was on Montreal and we went to the Cup Finals, he was playing through like a torn ACL, a broken foot, and like a bunch of different conditions that he had. But it was Stanley Cup Finals, right? That's playoffs. You can't miss that. So it's he just got inducted into the Hall of Fame, and that came out.
Oh,
And it
really?
was,
Okay, yeah, I'm looking at the induction speech right now.
yeah,
10 minutes long, but yeah, hockey's. I mean, I'm surprised there's not that much. I mean, you have the what was it back in the day? It was like a '70s movie. Uh,
Blades, Steel.
no, it was
What am I
God.
thinking of?
It had like there was like three guys in there. There was all there were three goons. And they all wore glasses.
Oh, the Mighty Ducks.
No, that wasn't the Mighty Ducks.
That had those the slap shot.
Slapshot, yes.
Yeah.
I love the shit out of those movies. I mean, they did like 3 or 4 of them. They were great movies.
I only ever saw the first one just because I didn't a little past my time, so I was more into like the Goon, the one when Goon released. That was a great
Oh, yeah.
movie. That was a great hockey movie for like my
Watched that
generation.
one. Goon 1, Goon 2, yeah.
Yep.
That was
What else? The Mighty Ducks, like what I grew up on.
yeah.
Those movies were absolutely awesome. Still in my favorites to rewatch on like a night off, right? I don't want to watch something like I should pay full attention to, just throw them on the background. Those movies
Yeah.
are awesome.
Yeah, I do that every once in a while. I'll put something on in the background, but I make sure it's something like I don't really want to pay attention to that much.
Yeah, right. It's the balance of like something that's interesting enough to watch when I want to watch it, but when I'm not tuned in, I don't want to miss anything too important, right? It's like
Like my brother-in-law's is Wally's Wonderland with Nicolas Cage. It's like the Five Nights at Freddy's, but the cheap version.
where he doesn't say a single word all movie.
I wonder how much they paid him not to say anything throughout the whole movie.
And they probably got him just paid him just enough to get there, but not enough to like actually put in any effort into like remembering lines or anything like that.
Yeah,
But that's a great movie for that because there's like no dialogue to miss out on.
yeah. It's one of those things. Is the villains of the movie talk, and the person that's defeating them doesn't, and it's like a reverse Jason Voorhees.
Yep. Yeah, that's a good way to look at it. Yeah, it's like we're cheering for almost like the not antagonist, but like the weirdo in it.
Yeah, which is it's so freaking awesome to see that though. But what exactly on a hockey's fan would you actually just to get them started in hockey? What would you get them to start watching? I mean, you could do the NFL, NHL. You could have them watch the NHL and everything, but I mean, nowadays a lot of this people that are watching hockey are like Letterkenny fans that I noticed, and what's the new one out that's
Shorzy?
Shorzy, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, like, there's a ton of different like media that you can check out like that. Like, if you're into the old kind of like the rough and tough stuff, then obviously if you want to watch like highlight tapes, like Don Cherry's Rock'em Sock'ems are a great place to start because all that is just highlights and hits. Like, it's the really fast pace, like get you into the highlights of the sport, right? But if you're wanting to actually follow the league, then I think the best place to do is just pick a team, and go in on it. I know Amazon Prime right now is making a documentary on the Montreal Canadiens, the team that I follow. They're releasing episodes on our season last season, which was not pretty. We didn't finish too high, but it's a really well made documentary. So if you want to like follow a team, that documentary would be a good place to start. But yeah, as you mentioned, Shorzy is hilarious. That's a good way to get into the sport.
So sad.
Honestly,
Every one of those things though, as I can't get into, they're too slow for me.
that's fair.
My comedy has to be fast. I mean, the slowest I've had for comedy was Red Dwarf.
I'm not familiar with that one.
Dude, it was made back in the like 90s. It's pretty damn old. But
honestly, to get into hockey, the best thing to do is find a local game if you can and go to it. Because I believe that hockey is the best sport to watch live. I've been to a ton of different live events, and obviously my bias is as a hockey fan, right? But It's
We actually
so
have, like, a
electric
minor
live.
we actually have, like, a minor team here in Wichita Falls, Texas.
I'd go
It surprised
if
me.
if you got
I've
if you got time.
gone to a couple of games, but it's, like, hit and miss because half the time they lose funding one year and they find funding the next year.
Yeah.
So, it's one of those things. Well, it's mostly minor leagues, stuff that happens too. Anytime you have, like, a minor league, you're always losing, audience. But I love just watching it and get up front as, close as you can. Those
Especially
62
those like
is fun stuff.
those cheaper like minor league games. Like I don't know, I was watching the Hamilton Bulldogs and they were still the Hamilton Bulldogs. Like I had to connect on the team, right? But I was still getting in on games that she couldn't get me in for like $25 tickets at Glasside Canadian, which is
Mhm.
like unreal for like a night of like really high quality hockey, like right below the NHL. Um, yeah, so like it's definitely not the most accessible sport, you know, both playing and watching, but I think the best way to get into it is to go watch it live because like it hooks anyone I've ever taken or
Yeah.
anyone ever introduced that way. It's so electric.
What's really funny is the most popular sport in the world, and you have to, like, know about it, is cricket.
Oh yeah,
Dude, someone told me that. I was like, "Bullshit." It's like LeBron James has, like, 82 million, uh, viewers at a
yep,
time, or subscribers or whatever you wanna say. You go to the cricket person, 281 million.
yeah. Like it's massive, and it's coming
Yeah.
over to North America like by like quicker and quicker.
Yeah.
And like honestly, I'm not. I've tried to watch it. That's not my cup of tea watching it, but playing it, it's fun to play if you've never played it.
Yeah.
It's a great time.
The only sport that's not originally from, United States, but I played was, rugby when I was younger.
Mhm.
Dude, uh, I I'm glad I did it, but I've done, like, stupid stuff in my life because I also did, like, uh, bareback bronco riding.
Yeah, yeah.
I'll never do that again.
Oh man, I did bareback horse riding when I was like 12, and I'm still recovering from that. So I can't even imagine the Bronco. That was that's
Dude
rough.
dude, I did it when I was in the military, and I hit the head, cracked, like, 3 ribs, had to go to the hospital because I thought I broke a couple of ribs,
Yeah.
and and I had my command staff like, "What were you how'd you break your ribs? Were you in a fight or something like that?" "No, I was working on ranch for 2 days, 2 weeks off of leave, and we went to a rodeo, and they got me on a horse." "What? You know, you're supposed to talk to command about that, blah, blah, blah." I was like, "Oh, yeah, I forget. Your military property, blah, blah, blah." It's like, I forget.
That was not military property. I was in the bull. That was that bull's property when he was
I
throwing me around
was.
like that.
Yeah, yeah, he treated me like he's a little bitch.
That's funny.
But, we were before the show, we were talking about, throwing projectiles and everything, and I was actually gonna suggest if you wanna, like, practice, like, drills and everything, like, get airsoft gun. I don't is there still they're going against laws to where you can't do airsoft guns too, right?
They're iffy right now, but as of right now in Canada, that's fully fine.
Okay.
Yeah. No, I've always been more partial to archery than any of the shooting ones. And mainly because of accessibility. I had it growing up, like camp and everything, like right, like we had archery, so I was from a young age I was into it. But I do like whenever I had an opportunity to put like a scope on my bow, I tried it and it was like it made it almost too easy for me, right? Because it was like I'm not I'm not like going for like the top score. I want to see if I can like kind of intuition
Yeah.
hit it with like just knowing, right? So I've always been partial to archery over shooting, but I have like I said I've been to the range and it's fun. Like it's powerful, right? It feels
Yeah.
it
I've had
feels fun to shoot the target, right? I gotta get back into it.
I've had people that went out and they're like, "Oh, I'm against guns and everything." I was like, "Well, I'll start you out with something simple. Just go with 22." He's like, "Well, 22 doesn't do that much." I was like, "22 is like the go-to for most serial killers. I think he's pretty good." He's like, "Really?" I was like, "Yeah, statistically, 22. You get more there's a lot more murder cases with 22 than you would actually imagine.
Well, yeah, I assume it's the easiest thing to get, right? It's the easiest thing
Oh
to
yeah, I can get like a bucket
legally
of
or illegally to get it. So that makes sense.
yeah. I can get like a bucket for like probably $100. That bucket's like full of ammo.
Yeah, it's
I think it's like
ridiculous.
2,000 rounds.
That's such a foreign concept to me up in Canada, right? Like I said, like we've pretty much cracked down on all handguns. Which, I was saying before the show, I'm definitely more on the gun control side of things, where I think there should be like regulations, but the stuff we're doing up here is ridiculous. Like, at what point do you is it too far? Right? Like, so like they're for control or what am I looking at? Self-defense. What I'm looking for.
Yeah.
Right. Like I don't think anyone should own like a fully automatic assault rifle. I think that's way too far. But like,
even a lot of people that are know what they're doing. I'm in the realm of knowing fully automatic. It's not even fun. Like I said, it was prior service. I got to shoot a couple of fully auto guns, rifles. They're full auto capability. Even 3-round burst, it's boring because it goes like that, but it doesn't take. Even special forces and everything tell you it's like football's for pussies. You gotta learn how to focus and get precision on that. Which
I was about to say, because you lose the precision, right? You lose the entire like point of like shooting for aim or shooting for action, that because you're just lighting up the whole target.
Yeah, the only reason why you need something like that is if like the fire is on the left side, you need the left side just to get rid of it.
Yeah,
but here it's like the big difference in a lot of people are I talk to is like, well, Second Amendment, you can own whatever. I mean, we can technically own a cannon if we wanted to. It's a foreign concept to a lot of people. It's like, why would you own a cannon? It's like, why would you not want a cannon?
Yeah, if I had enough space to own a cannon and shoot a cannon, I would own a cannon.
Dude, okay. You know the I don't know if you know anything about U.S. history, especially Texas history. Texas history has the Gonzales flag with the cannon on it. It's like take it or die.
So let's see if it looks familiar to me. Commentate, yeah.
Well, a lot of, I mean, even the cannon on the flag is a huge cannon. You know how big that cannon is?
Yeah,
about that size.
Yeah,
it is super ridiculous. But the whole concept of it is they're trying to take our arms. And they were trying to defend themselves. The cannon didn't even work. I mean, you can go to Gonzales and check out the original cannon. And it's really, really small. It's like, they fought for that. You know what? I get it.
That sounds like a good story. I just more research into that.
Yeah, it is funny. It's like I did research, and yes, a lot of times when I do interviews and everything, I get off topic real easy. My ADHD just once I get one topic, it's over. But going back to the registration and everything, or restrictions of here's the good side and the bad side of it. Bad sides, we can end up like Canada, and the good side is less people that are mentally ill has handguns or any kind of firearms.
Yeah, like honestly, the bad side is end up like Canada, and the good sides end up like Canada. If you look at it from two different lenses, right? Because like bad side, you end up like Canada, too much restrictions, but then you also end up with not like hardly any mass shootings. Like you said, like mentally ill people getting these guns and doing these despicable acts with them. But we don't have that much in Canada. Like anytime it happens, it's this huge, like at most once a year thing that happens. Like it happened, I think, Nova Scotia. I want to say 2 years ago. And it was like national news, like everywhere you heard about it for like weeks. In the States, it happens a few times, like sometimes a few times a day, depending on like school and stuff like that, right? So like it's ridiculous.
We don't have we okay. I found out doing research and everything that a lot of the stuff actually it happened. A lot of people are just like the main one was like Columbine, 1997. That's where it flared up. What had happened was there's actually a little bit more in that between like the 80s and 70s that a lot of people didn't talk about because it wasn't prevalent in the news. But once you got like national news organizations and everything, it became more prevalent. Whenever one happened, it was like, oh, it's top story, and like basically, my opinion on it, school shootings bad. Yes, of course, we should have like security stuff happening for schools, even if we didn't have like guns. I mean, they can come in with knives, rocks. But it's one of those things. Crazies is always going to go out there. You should secure the area first because one, they're kids; they're not going to be able to defend themselves. And most of the teachers in my day, most of my teachers were women that were pretty much pushing like 50 to 60.
Yep.
I didn't really have any young teachers or anything. And would they defend us? Yes, they would defend us. But you only have like a small amount of those women.
And it's also like you can't really just like implement the gun control laws that anywhere else has on America and expect it to instantly solve itself, right? Because of how many guns there already is in the states. Like no matter how many buyback programs you put on or how illegal you make owning guns, they're out there in the environment, right? They're out there in the communities out there, and like people like you own probably multiple firearms, and that's fine. But there's also for everyone like you, there's probably a few people that are like you said, we were talking about earlier, like the people that shouldn't have a gun that already have guns. So you think someone like that is just going to give it back because there's a buyback program? No, like there it needs to be handled with much more care and much more like consideration than people think. I think a lot of times they're like, oh, just put regulations on that'll solve everything. It's too far gone for that, right? It needs to be a much more complicated process if you want to put these restrictions on. And that's where it becomes into more like banning specific guns, banning like I know like attachments and modifications have been a huge hotspot over the last few years about what's happening and what's been banned. But that's where I'm kind of out of my zone. I don't know too much about the specifics of what like is being banned on guns in terms of, like I said, the modifications and attachments. But it's definitely a lot more complicated than just ban this, ban that.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of the stuff that's being banned is ridiculous to the point. Right now, the biggest weirdest thing that you could have on your weapon it's not restricted in my state. You can Texas is one of those good old boy states to where you can have a cannon. Of course, you can have a trebuchet too. So I'm on my point. Maybe one day I might get a trebuchet. But a suppressor is one of those things that a lot of people are up in arms with to the point where, oh, you shouldn't have one because it makes it quiet. I was like, it doesn't make it quiet if you actually know physics and everything. I mean, the quietest you could get it is with a 22, but like I said, 22s are pretty they're pretty devastating anyways. But it's you can make that very quiet, but other than that, I mean, like an AR-15 in a 5.56, you can it's supersonic round. So after it shoots out, even if it has a small amount that when you're up close with it when you first shoot it, but afterwards you get this big crack. It's like cracking a whip. You can still
Yep.
hear it no matter what. But even with subsonic rounds, it's still the same case to where you're still going to hear something. I
Yep.
mean, a lot of people are in this mentality that the movies that people watch, that's real life. And it's not real life. It is fantasy.
Yep.
It's completely fantasy. We had one congresswoman here in Texas, which she passed away like this year. And I don't know what we had some kind of big shooting or something like that. I mean, like you said, it does happen a lot in not Texas, for sure, but we do have like big time here in the United States, mostly in Chicago and
Yep.
bigger cities. And what she was saying is something that the person that is ignorant on firearms. She's like, an AR-15 costs about like 10 boxes, 10 full boxes, and shoots 50 caliber ammunition. I was like, I mean, if you take the 50 cal, the M01, then yeah, that's like 35 pounds, but it's not like 10 boxes. It's just, I think she's talking about that one. In a roundabout way, I think she's talking about that. And a friend was like, no, she's just being an idiot. I was like, yeah,
Yeah.
right. Yeah. Because I'm one of those people, I like to, maybe she's doing this. I'll
Benefit the doubt, like, yeah.
benefit the doubt.
Yeah, it's tough, right? When you have it's a bad look, right? When you have someone who's clearly so uneducated on what they're trying to make the laws on or anything like that. And as a huge like technology guy myself, everyone saw it when the CEO of TikTok was on getting questioned by I forget who it was, but it was like this board of people from America, and half of them were 80-year-old old guys who have no clue what they're talking about, asking
Yeah.
this Singaporean dude if he works directly for the CCP and everything, and they like, is TikTok spying on us? And he'd say no, and they'd just say like, oh yeah, sure it isn't. Like yeah, they have no clue what they're talking about, right? Like, yes,
Well,
TikTok can access your Wi-Fi. That's how apps work. They access your Wi-Fi to use it, right?
well, the main, okay, if you're not an idiot like they are, I use TikTok. Now, do I know that there's a lot of stuff that TikTok actually does, and it does have a program in it to where it records keystrokes.
Yep.
Now, if you were in a security area to where you had to learn a lot of how to secure your stuff a little bit better, that was a bad idea. I know that was a bad idea. But looking back on it and seeing, can't say I've seen the full program, but I've seen the full program. And the reason why they do it is because what you're likely to type up sometimes, it doesn't, unless the app is up.
Yeah.
That's when it actually reads your keystrokes. Because it's figuring out what you're trying to look for. And it's trying to make it easier on you. It's like how Google, once you Google something, it's on all your
Recommended
analytics.
ads and everything. Yeah.
Yeah. And Google does the same thing. Facebook does the same thing. All the social medias do that because they're trying to get the ad revenue and get it fast as possible, or just sell that ad data. And it's personal data. A lot of people are like, "Oh, you do this." I mean, there's a phone out there that all it does is text, call people, and I think
You can make your iPhone do that.
Yeah.
There's software in your iPhone that's designed for like specifically for like elderly people who aren't very tech savvy. All it does is it turns your phone into like like an old BlackBerry, where all it does is it has like your app store, so you can download other apps. You can take it out of this mode if you want, but it's like 4 big icons. It's like text, call, internet, and I forget the last one is probably like settings or like flashlight or something like that. And it turns your iPhone into that if you want that.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, it's really cool. Like I worked in tech sales for a while at a company, like selling like phones and computers to people, and like so many people had no idea that like, oh, I don't want anything complicated. I just want the cheapest phone there is. Cheapest phone there is just as complicated as the most expensive phone there is nowadays. It just sucks more. It's just gonna make you more angry, right? Like
A lot of people are just going to flip phones because they feel, it's the easier way.
Yep. If you want to remove yourself from everything, yeah, that's pretty much the only way to do it is just get like buy a flip phone. But even those are north of $200 nowadays. And they're not
Yeah.
gonna last you too long. Speaking from experience, and having those people bring them back those phones a few months later because they're slow and they're buggy and they're not doing well. They have that nice price tag on them, but you'll be back in a year and a bit, right? You gotta
Yeah.
invest in something decent.
Well, that's what I try to tell people is like sometimes buying cheap isn't the bright idea because we were talking about the handgun I was showing you before the show. That one caused me upward of 5K.
Yep.
It's a great gun. It shoots well. I mean, I had to go to the range and get all the quirks out of it and everything, and learn the process. What you should do with any kind of firearm. I mean,
Yep.
learn the process and everything, see how it works, run it through paces and everything. But I got someone in my family, namely my father, that buys the cheap stuff. Then every once in a while, he's like, "It just doesn't want to work for me." I'm like,
Wonder why?
You paid for the cheap one because you want a lot of them. You know, quality over quantity, Dad.
Yeah. And that's the same thing. Same thing like everywhere. Right? Like it's obviously technology background, but like people buy the cheapest laptop to do like a program for them, like forget what it's actually called, but it's like a architect software,
Oh,
AutoCAD, and they buy the cheapest laptop, expect it to run AutoCAD perfectly. It's like that's not going to work. It has these minimum requirements. You're gonna have to spend a little more on a laptop, and if you don't want to, that's fine. I'll sell you this cheap laptop. You'll be back here in a week. Like, if you don't take my word for it, that's fine. But I'll see you next week. Like you have to invest in decent equipment.
I mean, even now, doing the podcast and everything. I mean, yes, I have it set up just because I just wanted to use my because I didn't know how long we were gonna go.
Yeah.
So instead of using my phone, because right now Apple's like for podcasts and everything's wonderful. The only problem is the battery life on a phone when you use it as a camera, which it has the best camera right now for the cheapest, and you can link it and everything. The problem is it drains the battery way too fast.
Yep.
And I'm eventually just gonna have to pony up and get like a close to what $3,000 camera just so I can have that kind of feeling and everything.
Honestly, not even like because you got to think like most of the time, like for a podcast, if it was like if you were doing a live in person podcast with like a bunch of people sitting at chairs, then yeah, it might be worth it to invest in something like that. But for something like this, where it's just like a yourself, you can get like maybe $150 webcam that's like shoots in 4K at 60 FPS, and anything more than that would just be complete overkill for a individual one person shot.
Well, yeah, no, you're right. But I also wanted to do other things with it. There's a whole reason why.
Yeah.
But it's one of those things that's one thing that gets me is people that don't want to do research. They're just like, oh, if I buy this heavily, I mean, everything I get. I mean, even the laptop, I got the newest. Newest one last year.
Yeah.
MacBook Pro.
Yep.
I mean, it works great. It's better than any computer I've had in a long while. But, way technology goes and everything, it's going to be obsolete within like 6 months.
Yeah, I was going to say, is that the M3 Pro model or is that still the M2s? I assume that'd be the M3s.
M3. It's the M3 right now.
Yeah, that's such a nice device. That's going to last you a long, long time.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's the whole reason why I bought it. Because if I buy something like with a heavy price tag, I want it to last at least 2 to 3 years.
Yeah, that's future proof for a while, and Apple's done a lot better job ever since they switched over to the M chips rather than the Intel chips. They've done a lot better job at preserving their technology to the point where even like the M1 devices are still working really strong. So that's going to last you a really long time. That's a solid device.
I've never really liked Intel all too much. I've never really been an Intel guy. AMD, I've been giving them a stroke every once in a while. I was like, you got to, if you buy anything, buy AMD.
I just made the switch over from Intel to AMD myself in my personal rig, so I've been enjoying it so far. It's such a nice chip.
It's a nice and it's night and day, really. I mean, your Intel chip and everything, it works and it gives you kind of good quality, but a lot of companies go AMD only because of the basic the processing speed. They even go for the chip itself. It's pretty much on like most graphic cards.
Yeah, like depends on what you're looking for. Like multitasking, Intel takes the cake. It takes it every day, right? But you also got to consider the 14th gen chips that just came out, the i9 14 900Ks. They were recalled. I think they were officially recalled a few months ago because of how many of them were just faulty and not doing well at all. AMD, that hasn't happened in a while, right? AMD is good for like processing power if you want to run like a single application, whether like gaming or like if you want to do like just AutoCAD. AMD takes the cake there every day. But Intel, yeah, if you're doing multitasking like stock trading or anything like that on multiple screens, I recommend an Intel chip every day. But for the majority of people, you're only doing one thing at a time. So that's why I usually recommend AMD for reliability. And as of late, their driver and software updates have been fantastic too.
Yeah. I haven't been in the world of technology for a while. I get into like one thing, and then I had to shut my brain off on the
Yeah,
other.
you have to be so into it to be into it. Like you have to be keeping up with it every week. There's a new huge thing, right? So it's overwhelming to get into for
I
sure.
like the new TVs they have now. They're 110-inch TVs that just came out. Dude.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Dude. I mean, the cheapest one you can buy is like 2,000. But
that's really cheap for that though.
Yes. Compare what I was like right now I have my screen up, and that's the reason why if I don't look exactly like him, I'm not looking at the laptop.
Same with me.
TV. But I got like a 70-inch for probably around about $500.
That's ridiculous. I mean, I gotta keep in mind that's American too, because it's a lot cheaper than it sounds like for me. But yeah, like working in the stores, we had like the 98-inch that just came out, and we had it on display, and it was like $8,000. It was like 8K, and it was Samsung. It was amazing, but like 2K for 100+ inches. Doesn't matter how good the quality is. You're probably sitting far away from it anyways.
I don't know. I mean, kind of want to see that dick and have it like. So
as long as it's 4K, which is the standard nowadays, that's fine.
Yeah, you want to see the veins.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. You gotta make sure you make it every pube, you know?
Yeah. You want to see each and every stroke, and you want to see it like, zits on her twat.
and you were in again. You were saying, "Don't call me angry gooner," and this is what we're talking about.
Oh no, I'm perfectly fine. Johnny has the problem with the Johnny. What did y'all call him?
Well, we had a few. There was Johnny Sauce. There was
Johnny Sauce. Yeah.
Yeah, the angry gooner. There was Salad Man, and the Jacka.
The Jack is. That was perfect. He loves that. It's like the Jacka.
Yeah, that was awesome. That was just me and my buddies were in Discord just watching a bunch of different streams. We came across you guys, and it was just you were giving it back to us as much as we were giving it to you, and that was awesome.
Yeah, every once we don't have that many commentators or anything in the background, so when we get something like that, we'll have fun with it. It's just Johnny's not used to it too much, so he gets kind of because after a while he'll get he hates new stuff. That's the only thing that I feel that anytime it's new, his first instinct is to hate it. And then he brings, and then like the next moment he comes up, it's like, that was actually pretty good. I actually enjoyed that. It's like, what the fuck? I love him. I love him to death though. But sometimes certain little aspects come in, and I'm like, dude, really? But it's funny at times. Of course, I have the same little quirks he gets pissed off at a lot.
He says, how many shows do you guys do? You guys do the sports one on Monday.
Mm-hmm.
You have this one that's more like personal.
Yeah.
And then is there another one?
Yeah. Psychos and Sociopaths comes on every Saturday. And I usually just, sometimes it's long, sometimes it's short. But that one's basically serial killers or fucked up stuff that's gone on in the world.
Yeah, like true crime stuff.
Yeah. Like the only reason why I know what the name is, but the actual it's the Nanking massacre, and that's what Japan did. There's another name for it, and I can't say it because algorithms and everything.
I see that one.
Yeah.
Yeah, the one you can't say. Yeah,
Yeah,
the only one. That's yeah.
But that one, and yes, I started doing like type ropes on the wordage on the serial killer ones because there's a lot of words that'll get flagged and push you.
Unalive instead of that. Yeah, all that stuff.
Yeah.
Yep.
Or you can't even say sexual assault.
No.
Which is sad because a lot of the stuff that I talk about has that in it. I went from like the R word to sexual assault, and that's still bad. And I was like, what word do you want me to use?
And it's weird, right? Because like if you're talking about something like that, like in
And it's supposed to
respect
be
to
educational.
educationally, then it almost feels like you're underplaying how awful and deranged these people are if you're just saying like if you have to use these like unserious phrases, right? Like you're talking about a serial killer and you have to say that he unalived people. Like that doesn't sound like serious at all, right? It sounds like you're making a mockery of it. But
Yeah.
because like the censorship that you have to do, it forces you in these
Well,
situations.
it's not really censorship to the point. It's okay, it's ad revenue censorship. That's the only way to describe it.
Yep.
It's not really censorship because the reason why they're doing it is because they want ad revenue.
Oh yeah, and you can't blame them, right?
Well, you can because okay, look at the biggest opponent of this. There is two of them that I've usually used. One is Dean Snyder. Dean Snyder is not Molly Crew, Twisted Sister. He's the lead
Yep.
singer of Twisted Sister, and he went into Congress and said, "Hey, these are the freedoms we have, and you want to stop it." And usually they get it. They do a little like bow to it. That's the reason why we have a maturity little tags on CDs back in the day,
Yep.
or disc or whatever. And me personally is doing the whole McCarthy era stuff to where comic books had the comic book code for like from the 50s to I think the close to like 75. And that was all because it had to go through this process and everything. They just created it to so they could keep on doing the publications. Even Stan Lee went up at Congress. He's like, if you take a poll and you say the boys that read comics are the ones that are bad and they're the ones that are killing everybody, then you can go to a boys' home and say the same thing. If they get rid of the comics and all they're doing is drinking milk, you can say same thing as milk.
Yeah.
That's the same opponent.
The commonality, right? Where it's like
Yeah.
If you're looking for conclusions, you can find them.
Yeah. But nobody wants to come up with the conclusions. Sometimes they're fucked up in the head.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a fine line to where people. I've talked to a kid that he was severely beaten by his mother, and he's still 17, so he has a world to grow to where he might snap one day. But as of right now, I did the interview and everything. He was so soft spoken. So, I mean, that's literally how you breed a serial killer. They're usually, oh, he's the nicest person. I would never think of that.
Yeah.
But one day they snap. But that's everybody. Everybody has like that little twitch that's in the back of their head. Once someone steps on it, boom, they just go absolutely crazy.
Everyone has a breaking point, right? It just depends on how hard you break and how quickly you get to that point. But yeah, it's it's interesting to say the least.
It really is because I worked corrections and I had guys that were like, you would think like buddy and everything like that, and they get one bad phone call and they're just beating on the walls and everything because that is an environment where the people there aren't in sane mind, most of them, a good portion.
And you work corrections. That was like in like a jail or in like a prison or like what was that?
It was a prison.
Yeah,
but I don't know if Canada has two different styles. Jail is where you where you get captured by the cops, and that's where they put you until you go to
Until you get your hearing. Yeah.
you get your hearing, and then you go to prison where it's bigger.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We both got the privatized systems that are
That is fucking
a
ridiculous.
whole nother. Yeah,
That is
it's
a
a
whole
whole other
different
topic.
ballgame. I didn't work privatized, but I did work for some people that worked privatized prisons, and they said, dude, it's so stressful only because the basic fact is we're told to write people up as much as possible to keep them in jail or keep them in prison. I'm like,
Yeah, it's not about reform in North America. It's about profit, which is absolutely terrible. It's greed, and it's horrendous.
there's certain aspects of, there's always two sides with something, and that's what a lot of people don't understand. Like, like what you're saying, it's like greed shouldn't be in a prison system. It should be in reform. Totally agreed on that one. But in the hindsight, greed does help populate innovation too. I want money, so I'm gonna, start building something or working for somebody or do something that's no one's doing. I knew a guy that got fired from a university. Just he was the lawn guy, so that's all he knew. And mind you, he was dumber than box of rocks. He was not the brightest. He is now worth probably about $4 million.
Yeah,
because that's what he did when he got done with the MSU. I mean, he has help with accounting and everything now. Because I went to go visit him one day. He was like, "Oh, you got a nice little operation right now." He's like, "Yeah, I'm worth about $4 million." I was like, "Really?
sounds
Who
like Forrest
counts your
Gump.
money?" I was literally. I asked him. I was like, "Who counts your money?" "Oh, I have an accountant right over there." I'm like, "Right on." I just making sure.
Yeah, the difference between like stupid and dumb is stupid people don't know when they're out of their element, right? You can be dumb in a certain thing. Like, I know nothing about accounting like that, but I'm smart enough to know that I know nothing about that, and that's why I'd let someone handle that if I ever got to the point where I need to, right? It's
Oh yeah.
that's the difference, right? If you can recognize you need help, I don't think you're dumb.
Yeah. I've had people. I was like, I did some charity work for a special needs company.
Yep.
Basically, sometimes they needed a volunteer work and everything, and I would go volunteer to help them out. All I did was take them up to Walmart, and these were like people with Down syndrome.
Yep.
And I went through line. I was like, "Hey, let me go first because you're a little slow with the." I wasn't making fun. I was just like, "You're slow counting money and everything like that, and I'll help you out. So let me just get my stuff first, get it out of the way, and I'll help you out." He's like, "Okay, go up there." And I'm like putting my card in, but I'm putting it in backwards. So I was like, "Oh, man, I'm a fucking retard." The woman at the counter is like, "Sir, right behind you is a person of special needs." Dude, without skipping a beat, this asshole decides to go, "No, he's retarded. I have to help him out all the time." I'm like, "You motherfucker."
That's awesome.
Oh, dude, I felt stupid as stupid could be, but I wanted to bust out laughing, and I just was like, I gotta hold my composure until we get out of this situation. Got out of the situation. It's like, see, I got my stuff without having to fuck up. What about you? I'm like, God, dude, this is awesome. This is gold.
Yeah, man.
That's one thing that a lot of people just need to do every once in a while is just go help somebody out. And sometimes you just have a good time. And especially me doing like helping out like special needs, because I've always my mom was advocated about me doing it only because she her best friends and everything that took care of her because she had a hard life with her family, and they took care of her and they had a special needs kid. But she made sure that I was like, treat them as people.
100%. Exposed at a young age and educated, and it's very, very important.
Yeah. And I kept that up, and it's really sad is anytime I'm feeling down, I feel more it, I'm not helping them, they're more or less helping me out. And it's a great time. I
Well,
enjoy it.
yeah, it's very symbiotic, right? Like obviously,
Mhm.
like it's like the same thing as like when you'll see like someone like recording donating to a homeless person, right? It's like it's that that's obviously a more like controversial example, right? But it's like yeah, like you're helping them out, but it's also very self-serving, right? Like
Yeah.
it's walking that line, right? But yeah, doing like just volunteering like that, it definitely it's awesome. It makes you feel good. It helps them out. It's a win-win.
Yeah, those videos though, they're a catch 22 because I like watching those too. And yes, onions crash my eye. Like someone throws onions every time I watch those videos sometimes.
Yeah.
I mean, they open them up and they were like crushing my eye and everything.
Yeah.
Those assholes. Or I get like a really bad sinus infection and I just can't,
You just can't control it. Yeah, it's not your fault.
Not my fault. Anyways, it's a catch 22 because some of those people do it just to get we'll call it, they're trying to get the gram.
Yep.
But there's some of them that I was told on one guy that I was watching and was watching. He was on a podcast. He was like, "Yeah, I do this one to get people to look at those people as people." And he's like, I have an actual job. All the profits and everything, I take all those profits and I give to certain charity groups. And he lists, he shows paperwork. So I'm not messing around. I'll show you all the paperwork. I
Yep.
do this to help them out, help out these charities, and get them like in the limelight, so people will go out and help them out. I was like, okay, but you also have those douchebags that do it and they get all the money and everything, and they do here in the United States to get. I guess away from the taxes when you get it's a money making scheme.
Yeah,
And
they label it as a nonprofit or they label it as a write-off and everything. Yeah, it's yeah.
yes, and they only get like they only have to spend like 2% of the profits.
Yep.
Which is beyond me. And a lot of people was like me and my dad went up to they're doing a lot now. We went up to a store and it's like, hey, we want to give to veterans on this. I was like, no, I'm give to, and I had a person right behind me who's like, well, you don't support the veterans. I was like, one, I'm a veteran, and two, that's just helping out their profit margins. He's like, what
Yep.
are you talking about? I was like, okay, we give them money so they can give to other people and they can take that off of their taxes. He's like, is that how they do it? I was like, yes, that's how they do it.
Yeah, Walmart doesn't care about veterans. Walmart cares
No.
about tax write-offs, right? And it's interesting, like you said, it's a catch-22 because at the end of the day, yeah, that money that you're donating,
2%,
yeah, it is
but
going to someone in need, but like it's also helping out this mega corporation that screws over 10 times that like whoever you're helping,
oh yeah,
like 10 times the people like that day, right? So it's yeah, it's what can you do, right? You're damned
yeah,
if you do, damned if you don't.
yeah, and I can give you a list of other places that would benefit that dollar.
Yeah.
I mean, we did one show. That's all we did. The entire show, we were like, this charity, and we'll go over the charity. Find this charity, go over this charity. And there's some of them that there's one in general I can't talk about because of the whole incident that happened in 2020. We all know what happened in fucking 2020. I mean, y'all got screwed really bad. Certain states got screwed really bad too.
Yeah.
I mean, that's another thing that I've been wondering. Hey, I mean, just now, having someone from Canada, I don't want to talk about that, but I want to talk about the whole restriction on speech that y'all have with your with the social media. Like, if I put this up and you say something, I guess if you spotlight somebody's gender, say it's this, even
Yeah,
though
like something inflammatory or something like that,
yeah,
right? Yeah.
we're just saying it that way. how in trouble would you get for doing it on my show though? Because it's actually produced in the United States, but you said it as a Canadian.
See, it depends, right? Like we definitely have like the like hate speech is a crime here. Um, so it's not like the full like free speech, but at the end of the day, it's not like unless someone is like actively pursuing me, nothing's gonna happen.
Oh,
Right?
okay.
Like it's a lot less strict than a lot of people, especially in the States, think. And especially when you have like the American politicians that are like lobbying for like, oh, it's crazy up in Canada what they do. It's all just fear mongering. Like it's really not bad. If you say something that your employer doesn't like and your face is plastered over it and your face also plastered your company, then yeah, they're gonna get rid of you because obviously it makes the company look bad. That's how companies work at the end of the day.
Well, yeah, that's
But
every.
someone, yeah, like if I went on here talking on the online talking about someone was saying inflammatory things about them and like disrespectful like slurs or whatever like that, then yeah, I would probably have to deal with that in like the court of law. But like at the end of the day, I don't think that's a necessarily awful thing, right? At what point does the free speech cross into harassment, right? Which is a crime anywhere. Um, but I mean, that's basically it. Is that free? That speech can be is more treated as harassment here than it is in the States for the most part.
Well, here's the thing. Here's the opposite of that is how do you know if a person's racist or not unless you let them talk about that shit? See,
I mean,
that's the thing. That's the thing. Okay, say the person is. I'll have to say this because I actually know the guy. A gay Nazi. Don't. It is hilarious, dude. Dude, yeah, it's so hilarious what he told me. I was like, I'm gay and I'm a Nazi. I'm like, are you what? But yeah, what?
that's like an oxymoron.
I mean, it's two things that's hitting each other. So I guess he's used to it, but it's just one of those things. I'm like, really? Anyways, how do you know that person is not is like that if it's not? I mean, I can understand like I'm the same way that online stuff. I mean, yes, you'll get lots of followers, and yes, you'll also get lots of followers for saying those hateful things. I mean, a lot of people don't know this. It's like, oh, the KKK is still prevalent. Yes, but we narrowed it down to about 2,000 people. And I'm sure Canada has hate groups too. I mean, it's all over the place. Everybody has hate groups. They're just named different things, like ISIS.
Yeah.
But it's one of those things that it's in human nature to hate the opposing side. Now, how far you carry it over and everything, once we find out, oh, they're real assholes. Let's go gather them up. But are you? I mean, it's free will just to be, you just don't hang around those people.
I think there comes a point where not hanging around, like if it's like someone you disagree with politically, or if it's someone that like you're against morally, then yeah, just avoid them and then that's fine, right? But if it's someone that's like actively perpetually what am I looking for here? Like actively peddling like hateful and harmful rhetoric, I think there does have to be a further conversation than to just like avoid it, right? Because if like that's how movements start. That's how people with
No, you're
followings
right.
that are peddling this harmful rhetoric. That's scary, right? That's how these groups that end up with big followings. That's where they start, right? So at what point do you draw that line and say this is not something I can ignore anymore, and this is something that we need to do something about?
Yeah, but look at Jim Jones. I mean, if okay, we know the after effect.
Yeah.
Okay. But if you look at what he was doing and everything, I would probably say he's a great guy and wonderful guy. Now, once you get in the back door and everything, after we found a lot of the stuff out, but I mean, a lot of the stuff that he did, he was I mean, he did so much wonderful stuff for the civil rights movement. It was unheard of. But Jonestown.
It was all for his personal gain.
Yeah, it was
Right?
for his
It was
personal
all
gain and
for
everything, but we still didn't know that until, like,
Yep.
it was, like, last minute. You're
Mhm.
never gonna know, like, the last minute stuff.
And
But
that's fair, but I think when it's more obvious than something like Jonestown, where it's like, and with Jonestown, that's a whole different can of worms, right? But
yeah.
when he's doing it through like positive actions, like you said, like supporting the civil rights movement, that kind of stuff, that's a lot harder to see. But like if we were talking about what we were talking about before, where it's people like pushing that very
Hate
obviously harmful stuff, and it's a lot easier to cut that at the source, right?
Well, yeah, there's a lot of philosophies into and stuff like that. Like, I guess it was man, I can't tell you who it was. But it was just a philosophy I just heard, and I was trying to write it down, and I forgot who it was. But
Yeah.
it was a guy in Germany. They came for the right, and I said nothing. They came for the Jews. I said nothing. Then they came for me, and I didn't have anybody to speak for me.
Yeah. Yep. It's like the famous tweet where it's like, I never thought leopards would eat my face, says the person who voted for the leopards who eat people's faces party, and it's
Yeah,
like it's the same thing, right? Where it's
I've never seen that one. That
oh,
one's
it's hilarious. It's so funny. I think it all comes. It comes from. I think it was a woman talking about some politician tweeting something that was very anti-woman, very like take away like birth control rights, something along those lines. But it was like she was like, I can't believe this is the person I voted for, and it's like this guy's been like spewing hate for years. You just didn't think it would affect you, and now it does, and now you want pity. It's like boy who cried wolf type stuff, where it's just
yeah,
I never thought leopard would eat my face. Like,
yeah. That's an interesting one. That
it's
night
funny.
happened.
Enough to check it out.
Yeah. Uh, no, there's a lot of stuff like learning about other cultures and everything. Now, Canada really, even though it's like our cousin,
Yep.
I really don't know that much about Canada. Now, I know a lot like Middle East stuff because I had to go there.
Yep.
But it's so that's another rhetoric that a lot of people don't understand. I was like, there's people out there that's never even left the town that they lived in most of their lives,
Yeah.
and they don't understand. Like I blew somebody's mind when I told them that I went to a cave down in Texas, down in South Texas. Texas, one of those big states,
Yeah.
and I mean, literally, you can go 8 hours and still be in Texas.
Oh
And
yeah.
it baffles people's minds. Like, no, I'm like, yeah,
Same thing with Ontario. You can go like from where I am to Ottawa is about 6 hours, and that's like
really,
yeah. Oh yeah. Canada's just as big. It's just where our population is like in like the bottom 10%.
really.
Yeah, if you look at a population map of Canada, it's like ridiculous. Like I think it was like 90% of the population lives in 10% of the land or something like that. I'm not, don't quote me on those exact numbers, but it's crazy.
Wow. Because the strange thing to people like when I tell them fun facts about Texas and they freak out. It's like as much as land that we have in Texas, 90, I think 93 or 97% of the land is privately owned.
That's ridiculous.
Yeah, that we
That's
have tigers.
ridiculous.
And we have most of the tigers too.
Yeah. In
So,
the world, right?
yeah.
Yeah. That's
Here and I looked, I Googled it. Well, this is like a couple of years ago when I found out when Joe Rogan said it, and he became popular. Well, not popular. He was already popular, but he said
it
it.
was
And
a popular soundbite. Like yeah.
yeah, popular soundbite. Well, I have a friend of mine that's down in South Texas, and he was whitetail hunting, and he got himself a night vision scope, thermal, whatever it is. Well, he saw this wave and it looked like a cat's wave, but it was a big cat. He's like, "Oh, that's probably cougar or something." So he gets in his vehicle. He's like, "I don't want to deal with the cat. I'm going to go ahead and get in my car and go to a different site."
Yep.
He gets in his car. He turns on his lights in his car and everything. Fucking Bengal tiger. Someone let their Bengal tiger out.
Is that true? That's true?
Yes.
That's terrifying. That's ridiculous.
Yes.
That's ridiculous.
I know the hunter that I was like, because it popped up on one of my feeds. I was like, oh shit, that was real.
Yeah.
And I
That's
called him up.
insane.
I was like, dude, did you get pictures of that tiger? He's like, no, why? Did you tell anybody? Oh, I told everybody. I put it on Facebook. I was like, dude, you're viral technically. He's like,
Yeah,
what?
like this is it goes way past the person that posted it initially, right? Where it's just it gets bigger than the person.
It's so weird how stuff goes phones up because I don't get it sent to me that often anymore. Is I like making fun of scammers.
Yep.
To the point to where they come up with those like, hey, would you want to see me naked? I'm like, well, yeah, but I'm the one the one that is hilarious and it gets sent to me a lot that I've sent out. I only sent it to one person and it got sent out. Is I was like, hey, do you want to see me naked? And I reply back, yeah, but right now I'm in a morgue and I'm taking the intestines out, so I'm pretty dirty. So just give me a moment and send me the photo. It's like, so you're not doing anything right now, bitch. I just told you I'm fucking excavating an old lady that just died 5 minutes ago. Well, that went viral, and every once in a while, someone sends it to me. And it's like, oh, dude, check this out. This sounds just like you because it is, you dick.
Yeah.
And they're like, oh yeah, you did send me this.
Oh, that's where I remember it from.
Yeah. Or the God, there was one. Forget what it was. Something to do with Smurfs. Anyway. But it's just so funny. It's like right now doing stuff and supposedly being getting popularity and everything. I mean, if this is popularity, this is just, dudes hanging out and people want to listen to dudes hanging out. But it's just funny how a lot of the stuff that comes up, and nowadays it's kind of shifting a little bit to the point to where like comedy's different in the United States than with you guys.
In what way do you think?
I've heard of comedians when they go to Canada to do their bits, they have to cut a lot of their bits out.
I was selling tickets for Canadian comedy shows for a while there. The job I'm at now, and there was like I was selling for like I'd say probably the most like not offensive, but the most like kind of risky one at the time was Matt Rife, and it was after he kind of got in trouble for his special, which personally I'm not a fan of him at all. I don't think he's that funny. But he, as far as I know, everyone his set was the exact same as it was in Ottawa than it was in when he performed it in Washington.
Really?
Oh yeah.
Hmm.
I've been I'm a pretty big fan of comedy myself. I did it once, looking to get up and do it again. But like it's I think that like anything can be made funny, but if you're just punching down, that's when you get in trouble. And Anthony Jeselnik put it in a great way where it's like comedy is getting away with it. If you say something offensive and people get mad at you, you can't just say it's comedy. You didn't get away with it. You weren't funny enough. You just made people angry. That's not the point of comedy. Comedy is making people laugh, not making people angry. You know?
Yeah. No, I totally get that because I don't know if I can consider the stuff that I did was punch down. It probably is punch down. But most of the stuff that I do say, it's usually it is like punch down stuff. But I have some other materials when I was doing open mics. And it's one of those things is I'm a better writer than I am a better comedian. But I realize that. I mean, I write a lot of comedy skits and everything, but me doing them, it's probably totally different because I have like it's so sad is I don't like dry humor, but I'm really good at it.
I love dry humor. Love dry humor.
It's the reason why I can't watch Shorzy or Letterkenny. Because it
Yeah,
really
yeah.
is it's very dry humor.
It especially early Letterkenny is super dry. It's
Yeah.
like
I can watch
super
Red Green. Red Green, I love from y'all guys.
red green. What's that one?
You don't know Red Green? Come on, you're Canadian.
I know, right? Sitcom. Yeah. Yeah.
It was
It's like
fucking
you
awesome.
ever watch Trailer Park Boys? You know what that
Couldn't watch
is?
that. That was still too dry for me too.
Yeah. But that's like very like small town Canadian, like yeah.
But
It's very dry, but it's like basically tailored for people like me who grew up in like small town Canada. That's like it's
that's
so
anything
funny
in
to me.
small town, really.
Yeah,
You know, I watched a couple of episodes and I just like I get bored with it way too fast.
that's
But
fair.
that's literally small town bullshit. I mean,
Yeah.
I never grew up in a trailer park, but I grew up on in base housing,
Yep.
and it's the same bullshit. I mean, when you get a bunch of people that are basically broke together and they get, I mean, it's government housing, and you have to live, you have to scrape. I mean, one, you scrape by a lot of the stuff that you can't afford, but you still hang out and do weird shit, and it's all kinds
You
of fun.
entertain yourself.
Dude, I had so much fun. But what's really funny is when you grow up and you start talking to normal people and you're like describing your life. It's like, do you go to therapy? Why would I go to therapy? Because you're obviously traumatized. Oh, that makes sense now.
Yeah, yeah.
That's normal.
Like finding out
Oh.
later in life that yeah, like what you went through wasn't normal or like what your normal was is crazy to someone else. It's oh yeah.
Yeah, okay. The worst case scenario, and if it sounds like I'm just talking low on it, it's because I lived it. My mom committed suicide, but it took me years to find out what manic depressive was. She was addicted to opiates. It was like early 2000s. So opiates were the craze. And she was prescribed it, and because she had lower back problems, she had a slip disc. Well, it eventually escalated and she ended up committing suicide. But when I think about most of the time frame of my childhood, she was in and out of psychiatric ward a lot. My dad just stuck with it. I'm like, oh yeah, she was
Yeah.
always crazy, huh? My dad dealt with a lot of shit, and even now, when I was like, I don't visit with my family all too much other than my biological father. And it's all because of the basic fact of he's been in a horrible fucking thing. I'm not gonna get away from him. He says some stupid shit. Nothing like, racist or anything like that. Just sometimes I just think that he doesn't think what goes through his head.
Yeah, yeah.
And I swear I think because Alzheimer's runs in the family. I think he needs to go to the hospital for that and start work on it. But it's just one of those things that you just realize when you grow up and you're like, you mean that wasn't normal for you? How
Yeah.
do you know?
Yeah.
Like cheap, like I was like, this will be weird because I never had poutine, but my version of poutine was biscuits and chocolate gravy. I'm surprised I'm
Chocolate.
not diabetic. I'm surprised I'm not diabetic. It was liquid fudge.
Yeah.
Okay.
Over carbs.
Over carbs. I'm surprised I'm not diabetic. And my family once is like, hey, you're the cook and everything. You know how to do cooking recipes and everything. Could you do that? I was like, you guys are my dad's a diabetic. I'm like, no, I'm not making that for you. Clearly is hot fudge. Basically, you're taking it's a donut. It's
Okay.
basically with if you take the gravy, you're just really heating it up, and it's one notch from like a chocolate donut.
Yeah.
but it's over biscuits. Is it delicious? Yes. Are you gonna have diabetes? I'm surprised I don't.
Yeah.
I'm surprised anytime I well, nowadays it's anytime I have sugar, I get massive headaches. So I mean it's the whole reason why I stopped doing sugar in the first place. So it's just that's another thing that's weird about learning of other people's cultures and everything is the food difference.
Oh yeah. Like, I think North America and Canada and the States not too different, like overly. And I think it depends on where you are in the States as well, right? Like obviously, the more north you go in the States, the more pretty similarities you'll have to Canada. But um, yeah, like culturally, like food difference to elsewhere the world is crazy. I remember in college, my buddy made me this dip, and it was like you start with like peanut butter and like added a bunch of like savory stuff to it, and I was like not anticipating it at all. And he made like put like beans in it and all this stuff. It was one of the greatest dips I've ever had. I still make it from time to time. But yeah, it's just like whole different flavor profiles, whole different like what's normal, what's completely out there. He had a Thai chili pepper with all of his meals. I ate one of them and I was out of commission for an hour trying to rinse my mouth out. Like it's completely different.
No, I still want to try this as Vegemite.
Yeah, that you have like the littlest bit of it on bread, and some people love it, some people hate it.
Yeah, that's what a lot of people say. It's like a tit for tat type thing. But I
Yep.
don't like really because the way they described it was like really bitter, and I was like, I don't know about that. I don't like bitter stuff. I mean, the most bitter stuff I get is like coffee.
Yeah, like do you take your coffee black?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm just getting into coffee like recently. I never had it growing up, so like it's an acquired taste.
Well, okay. Here's the thing. When you start doing coffee, if you want to go bougie and everything, get you a Chemex, get you a one of those inductive coffee pots. Not
Yep.
Don't boil the water because you'll overboil the water. You can overboil the water, but get an inductive. It is just to make it a perfect cup
Oh,
of
it's a
coffee.
chemistry.
It is chemistry. I
Yep.
mean, you're rehydrating the molecules, and it takes, I think, the time frame to making my coffee because I grind my beans. It takes probably about 10 minutes. I mean, usually you just coffee ground, bomb, you're done.
Yeah.
But just do the steps and everything. Get you a coffee grinder, grind the beans. It tastes totally different. And once you start doing that, you can go to like coffee places and you can taste the difference.
Yep.
Because I went to Dunkin' Donuts one time because I was down in San Antonio, and it was right in the corner. It's like, hey, dude, you want some Dunkins? I'm gonna go get some Dunkins. I'm just making fun. And we went to Dunkin's, and I got the coffee, and I drank it. I was like, I'm a coffee snob. Damn, this is shit coffee. He's like,
Yep.
yeah, it is. I don't know why we could have gone a couple of blocks more. And that's the thing nowadays is there's like a plethora of coffee shops now.
Oh yeah.
I mean, there's the Dutch coffee, White Buffalo coffee, Starbucks, Black Rifle coffee, Dunkin's. There's a couple more. But yeah, make that shit yourself. It's the only way to go, really.
Have you ever heard of the coffee or the what is it? The Krispy Kreme coffee? You ever know that story at all? So they were having like trouble selling coffee. Like everyone would come in and buy a donut, and it was like I don't remember the exact percentage, but like no one was buying a coffee with their donut. So what they did is they had a program where if you get a donut, you get a free coffee. Like one donut gets you a free coffee just to get people. Their intention was okay, people are gonna try our coffee, they're gonna like it, and the next time they come in, they're gonna buy one when it's not free anymore. But what happens when you offer someone something for free, they assume it's low quality. So even though their coffee was in blind taste testings, like ranking above like other fast food coffees, when people were getting it for free, they thought it was disgusting. They said it was like the worst coffee they've ever had. And then they made it expensive again, or not free again, and the sales went lower. It's all about like perceived value, right? Over anything like that, especially in like the fast food world, where if you slap like a fancy packaging on there or something, people are gonna like it more than if it's more than the taste.
That's you say that story. That's the same story of Vegas and their buffets.
Yeah,
Yeah. What
yeah.
happened was they I mean, back in the day, it was notorious. Go to a Vegas, you go to the buffets, and that's where you save your money. You can go to a buffet for like $5 there. I mean, you can still do it. It's just lower quality. But they started upping the pricing and everything, not changing the quality of the food. They just changed the pricing, and they got it up to like I think there was one place that never changed the quality, but as soon as they changed it up, the prices to like close to like $17 a plate, people was like, "Oh, this is the best food I ever tasted."
Yeah,
I'm like, they're like,
perceived value is everything.
yeah, yeah, it's so ridiculous. I was like but if you do like research on stuff and everything, or you know what you're thinking of and what you're talking about, like food. You could talk. I can talk to you about hours and hours and hours on food and how to make it good and everything. I mean, there's and cheap ways to do it. Like the cheapest thing you could actually do is take those croissant rolls from I don't know. Did you get the tube croissants?
Oh yeah, the
Oh,
blue
my-
tube. Yeah.
yeah. Get that, roll it out. You can put any kind of meat or anything. What I like to do is like I make fajitas with it. Just saute that and everything. Put that on, roll it back up, put it in the oven about 15-20 minutes. You got your roll and you cut it in half. People think you're culinary art fucking genius because you did that. And it's
Oh
just
yeah.
it's simple, stupid, and it tastes great. Put extra butter on top of it. Or you put like I mean, you can fancier up. You put like garlic butter on top of it and everything. You put it in the oven. It's like, oh my god, you're such a good cook. Oh my god, this only cost you like $5.
Yeah. Yeah, adding like some like making a cream sauce out of your ramen instead of just like making it as a soup, and now you have like this delicious, delectable pasta dish that was like, yeah, it's super easy to cook up, right? You work a little
Well, you
bit in
have
a restaurant. It's
I'm looking at this stuff. It's like, oh yeah, it's cheap. It's good. Even
yeah.
if you make the cream sauce, it's like, oh, that's innovative.
Yep.
Still, I'm not that cheap of a date.
Yeah. I worked in restaurants for I don't know, just under 2 years, and the amount of stuff you just pick up, like working for in the first month, is that's how easy the basics of cooking are, and you can just go from there and experiment and have fun with it however you want.
Oh
It's
yeah,
it's people that don't know how to cook baffle me. I don't know how
dude,
you get through day to day life without knowing how to cook. Like
dude,
it's ridiculous.
I had somebody. I'm the worst person to challenge, especially when it comes to cooking, because that's my forte. I love it. I love doing it. And that person is like, I'm gonna make the chili. Everybody loves my chili. This woman she had like a corn cob up her ass, and she thought her shit didn't stink and everything.
Yeah.
She made this chili. I was like, I had the chili. I was like, oh, okay. She's like, everybody likes my chili. It takes me so long. It does this, blah, blah, blah. I was like, give me 3 hours and I'll be done. She's like, 3 hours. I made my chili and I handed it to her and she ate it. She's like, oh my God, this is so delicious. And I make mine thick. She made
Yeah.
hers watery. Who in their right mind makes watery fucking chili is a fucking crime against humanity. They should be
Yeah.
slapped automatically. As soon as you see like a little bit of water like trace onto the top of it, you take it, you put it down, you say your thank yous, and you slap the shit out of them because they don't know how to fucking make chili.
Oh yeah.
If you can't grab like a piece of cracker or anything and dip it,
Yep.
you don't know what you're doing.
You got to be able to use like a slotted spoon and have like a solid like, yeah, you shouldn't flood through.
You should be able to take that spoon, put it in the middle, and it sticks there.
Yeah, doesn't sink through.
No, God.
Yeah.
And she was like appalled that I was just like, how's your chili better than me? One, I was an expert chef in the military and not saying much. I mean, I have awards. And it's not because, I'm the world's greatest chef or anything like that. It's because I read the recipe, I do the recipe. If it looks wrong to me, I change the recipe. It's about innovation.
Taste as you go. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm a perfectionist with any kind of art or any kind of creativity. Anybody that is creative, they're a perfectionist. And sometimes, and here lately, I'm like, maybe I'll just draw back a little bit and just let it go. But it just appalls me when people say something's good and it's obviously not. It really does.
I mean, it's all like subjective too, right? Because it depends on what you were raised on. If you're raised on like really poor cooking, then probably like the slightest innovation, the slightest like amount of like spices on chicken or something is gonna blow your mind, right? If you're raised on dry chicken, and the first non-dry chicken breast you ever gonna get, it's like what would be average to me or you is probably that person's like best ever chicken they've ever had, right?
No,
So
I
it's
got
all
that.
like
I got that. I got people have different taste.
yeah,
But I'm also that same person that grew up with like the best dinner was like a slice of cheese and bread, and we cooked it underneath the stove because the oven was gas powered, and it was like toast, but it
Yeah.
just had cheese on it, and you had like that little brown cut. That was like great to me, and it still is to this day.
oh yeah,
But I mean, I've had like, because I had a part. I was like, "How do you make macaroni and cheese?" And I was like, "Oh yeah, it's again expert level cooking." And I was like, "It is easy. How
Yeah.
do you want your cheese? Well, how do you want your macaroni and cheese?" It's like, "Well, how hard can it be? It's just macaronis and cheese." I was like, "Okay, if you want to get the fucking box, get the fucking box." And
yeah,
they're like, "Is there a different way to make it?" I was like, "Yes, but it takes time and effort." They're like,
Yeah.
"Really?" And they're like, they were like, "Okay, how do you know how to make macaroni and cheese?" And you asked me how I made my macaroni and cheese. They're like, "Well, yeah, I get it from the box. I just get it and just mix it up and everything." I was like, "Okay, we're gonna go to the store." We go to the store. I pick up like 3 different pieces of cheese, milk, macaroni. I had seasoning at the house, so I didn't have to worry about the seasoning at the house. And I get like croutons, the salad croutons.
yeah,
What you do with that, you crush those up. You make the cheese sauce where you have to use milk, flour.
yeah. I make a roux, make all that stuff. Yeah.
You get it because you know. You do all that. You make the macaroni and cheese. I didn't want to spice it up by putting bacon, little like chops of bacon in it.
Yep.
But I put the top part. I put the croutons on top.
Yep.
Because it has that extra seasoning on it.
Like, but yeah, it's just like seasoned breadcrumbs, but you just crush up croutons.
Yeah. It's a lot easier.
Yep.
Because it gets it's a faster crunch. I mean, you can just use bread, but you
then you have to make breadcrumbs, and it's too much effort for what it is.
Yeah. I wanted to make it fashion and efficient, but still fancy.
Yeah.
Which it still only takes about, I think it only took me about 20 minutes.
Yeah, that's the 15, 20 minutes. Yeah, I put a guess for that.
Yeah, because the macaroni.
Cooking clean as you go. Yeah.
And you create the sauce at the same time as you're boiling the noodles. And I did that, and they're like, "This is the best I ever had." I was like, "That's because I use like 3 different styles of cheese. I don't use anything that comes from the box."
Yeah, it's not powdered cheese. It's Gruyere. It's actual cheese.
Do you use Gouda, provolone, and what was it? I didn't use. I think I used blue cheese.
See, I'm basic. I'll just do like old cheddar, mozzarella, and Gruyere.
I never tried Gruyere. What's
It's good.
Gruyere?
It's a softer cheese. I believe. I think that's what it would be softer. But it's a little more like punchy. It's not like too overwhelming. Which I don't love in a mac and cheese because you should be eating like you should have like a fully coated noodle. So you don't want your sauce to be too like punchy or too pungent. It adds a nice little bit of flavor compared to the other two.
What's really good is using frying up bacon, and
Yep.
depending on what kind of like. I don't like to use maple bacon because you don't want to make it too sweet.
No.
Use like applewood.
Yeah, just like a smoked bacon. If you toast if you have breadcrumbs, if you toast them in the bacon fat too, that's really nice.
Oh, I've never thought of that.
Yeah, that's really nice.
Oh yeah, yeah, it would be. Fuck, never thought about that. Yeah,
Well,
dude.
I was gonna say I hate to cut it, but I do have work tomorrow morning, so I was looking to stay on until around 12, which is where it's at now. Is it okay to cut it here?
Yeah, we can cut it here. Usually when I go over a conversation, it's usually the other person has to cut it because I'll just keep on talking.
Oh yeah, if I didn't have work tomorrow, I got a concert tomorrow night too, but I got taking a half day at work, so I gotta make sure I'm well rested for tomorrow night.
Yeah. Now here we'll talk about offline. We'll just cut it right here and have a little conversation with you after.
Yeah.
But anyway, everybody, thank you all for listening. Thank you all for watching. If you like this stuff and everything, just keep on watching, subscribe, like, whatever. But thank you all. Goodbye.